Radiant team ban.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dota fans of all ages, I am Zara bringing you a Reddit Dota 2 League presentation, an official league match between Deleted and Hold Me Closer Venomancer. So we're starting off with Deleted banning out the Phantom Lancer. Ban stages here in the drafting phase of this game. Gotta admit, the draft, my favorite part of Dota 2, may seem silly to be the favorite part not actually playing it, but it is a nice mental back and forth trying to screw with your opponent's strategies or just banning out heroes that you just don't like playing against. Phantom Lancer, screw them. Alright. So now the first ban coming out of Deleted was Phantom Lancer. You can afford to basically throw out a hero that you just don't want to play against with that first ban because you get first pick. So you may be wanting to bait out the particular hero that you want, and in this case it's going to be Deleted taking the Magnus. We've seen our nicknamed Chinese guy run Magnus quite effectively in the past. I expect to see him grab that, and he is Deleted's mid player. So I'm expecting to see that Magnus mid, which is his normal position anyway, though sometimes you throw him in the off lane, and I have seen Mr. Chinese guy running his carry mag before, but most likely going to be that mid Magnus. In response, we're going to see Hold Me Closer Venomancer pick up Rubik and Darkseer. Darkseer high value, but and very flexible mid offlaner jungle, but typically it's going to be an offlaner if you're trying to do anything with it. So in some ways very flexible, some ways kind of rigid. Rubik definitely just excellent all-around support value. And maybe you can screw with your opponents a little bit, make them afraid to pick those high-value spell heroes after you pick up that Rubik. It could be a response to Magnus, though it can be very difficult to grab that RP off of Magnus because you can pretty much just reverse polarity and immediately shockwave after it. Though it does mess up if he feels the need to do that to prevent him from doing skewer and then shockwave, which is usually the preferred method after RP for Magnus. But closing out the picks, we see Earthshaker and Gyrocopter out of Deleted. Earthshaker a little bit unusual, particularly for the first 3 picks, as he's not that highly valued of a support hero, and then Gyrocopter. So with that Earthshaker, I kind of wonder if Deleted's going to do something rather unusual with these last 2 picks, because Earthshaker you can leave to the 4th or 5th pick. So but on the other side, Hold Me Closer Venomancer doing the same kind of thing with Warlock as their 3rd pick. Warlock been a very popular pick in the Reddit Dota 2 League. We've seen him both mid and as a support. Frankly, I don't like him as a support, but in this case, it's unclear which he's going to go. The bans continue, Wisp and Bounty Hunter being taken out. A little bit of both. I'm surprised about the Wisp ban because they already have Gyrocopter. Of course, they could choose to say Wisp and Chaos Knight as the last 2 and it would still work, but it's normally you get that earlier to make sure that you get both the Wisp and a hero that you want, and Gyrocopter's a little weird to have in a lineup with that, though it's certainly doable. Deleted banning out the carries, that's what Hold Me Closer Venomancer is going to have to address in their last 2 picks. So 3 of the carries that they're not going to be allowed to take are Anti-Mage, Faceless Void, and the Lifestealer. They did not ban out Spectre, who when Warlock started reappearing, and way back in the original Dota, when Warlock was in his prime, allegedly, admittedly, I didn't follow Dota 1, but I'm told that Warlock paired up with Spectre a lot there, and with the Resurgence has been pairing up with Spectre as well. So that is still in the pool. We may end up seeing that, but I don't recall seeing a RD2L match where somebody has actually done that. Jakiro from Deleted. Big lion stuns coming out of Deleted. The fissure followed by the ice path. So just don't stand in a line, Venomancer, okay? Just don't stand in a direct line and I think you're good. Very big team fight potential. Reverse Polarity, Call Down, Macro Pyre, and Echo Slam is going to be brutal if they clump up. Of course, there is a lot of counter to that team fight with the Warlock Golems, the wall and vacuum, as well as Rubik just being able to take whatever the hell he wants. The final ban out on Hold Me Closer Vanomancer was Undying, so I don't think it would have fit into this lineup, but another potential number 4 support, or once in a while as an offlaner. Brewmaster, that is going to indicate a support Warlock. Silencer quickly in response. I really like personally the combination of Silencer and Magnus, because a problem that you can run into with Magnus is he jumps in, reverse polarities, but if you don't have the proper follow-up, it can get turned around on you. Even though you did that big stun and damage, Magnus can't kill the other team on his own. He needs follow-up. But if you silence everyone after the reverse polarity, they're just clumped up, all ready to be beaten down, and can't cast anything to get out of it. Sven, the final choice, so that's going to be their carry choice. Now, I'm a fan of Sven as a carry. The only thing you really, I personally think you really have to avoid with Sven is making sure that you're not going up against a Lifestealer. And now, thanks to Deleted banning out the Lifestealer, Hold Me Closer Vanomancer did not have to worry about that. They pick it up as the last pick, making sure that they're safe to do so. But I have to say, going into this, Deleted has to be the favorite in my eyes. They have been the team to beat watching them play in this league, so we'll have to see if Hold Me Closer Vanomancer can pick up a big upset here. They are playing with 2 stand-ins. That is Roargasm, and I forget the other stand-in at the moment. Maybe Libra Morgulis. I'm not quite sure. SAT gonna hold up on the Sven. He is an official player on their team. Deleted with their full lineup. We were a little delayed here, but they did eventually end up with their whole lineup, and thanks to the game being delayed, they decided to play ahead with the 2 stand-ins. So take a look at Hold Me Closer Vanomancer. It will be, I'll just call him Libra, going out there on that Brewmaster. John Wayne Gacy on the support Warlock, most likely nothing like naming yourself after a pedophilic serial killer. Sven is played by SAP Roargasm, picking up that Rubik. The Courier gonna chase after them, and then JoJo on the off lane, Darkseer. Now here on the Deleted side, we actually end up seeing Chinese Guy on the Gyrocopter. So that was also a possibility. The Mag going into the solo safe lane. That's also a good choice. I definitely like that with the aggressive tri-lane over the off-lane Magnus. Not the biggest fan of off-lane Magnus anymore, ever since that skewer nerf, where he no longer gets the full range on that skewer. As you see, it scales up 600 to 1200. It used to be just flat 1200 at level 1, which was kind of silly. We have the GLA Jeff's thrown out there by Webb. We were talking a little bit about StarCraft 2 before the game started, and I'm going to throw out a reference to it right there with the GLHF starting it off. Now Chinese Guy going to be camping this rune and will be headed... Silencer's going to be taken up the mid. This is Chinese Guy going to be in the aggressive tri-lane along with that Earthshaker and the Jakiro. Now the thing is, we've got 3 down here out of Hold Me Closer Vanomancer. I've been waiting to see this, is seeing two offensive tri-lanes miss each other completely. So who's going to come out on top here? I think JoJo's in a much better position. Mag's going to have a harder time, I think, here against this tri-lane than the Darkseer. We're going to try and... It's going to be tricky trying to follow this, but I'll do my best. Here in the mid, we have Silencer up against Brewmaster. Kind of annoying there for that Brewmaster. Silencer, even if he's not necessarily the toughest to go up against mid, he's probably the most annoying. We'll have to see what he ends up scaling. So he does go with the last word first, which is the most normal thing. But in the mid, I always have a hard time deciding personally, because Curse of the Silent, that's the annoying spell in my eyes. You know, the disarm on the last word will prevent maybe a last hit or two. And while this is going on, we have a couple supports looking to roam on into mid and pick off this Brewmaster. But the Curse of the Silent is basically you lose mana or cast a spell and lose mana. There's the Fissure to cut him off, but the stun misses and the Ice Path misses. Last word goes out, but that's not going to be enough to finish him off. And that gank is a failure. A lot of time wasted on these supports, so unfortunately not going to work out. It pushed the Brewmaster back a bit, did a tiny bit of damage. His bottle is completely out. They really need to upgrade that as soon the courier as soon as possible, because quite frankly, this Brewmaster is going to need the bottle crow. We do have a pause coming out, so we get to we'll get a chance with all this going on to take a closer look at what everybody is doing. The mag did have an observer ward on him, so he's got himself warded up behind him. The pulp camp has been warded out of from the dire side. These supports are going to rotate down to bottom. It's going to become 1-on-1 here in the top lane and 3-on-3 here on the bottom. The supports have a little bit of a lead on the dire side, but very, very little. Warlock is still level 1, only halfway to level 2, and Rubik just barely level 2. So it's not as if that's going horribly. Magnus came up level 2 himself. If we go and check out, let's check out the items on everyone. Sven has started off with a Quelling Blade, but no Stout Shield, which is a little weird in terms of an aggressive tri-lane, because it's not so much farming creeps that you really want to do. It's farming heroes is what you're doing when you want an aggressive tri-lane. Perhaps they were trying to avoid an aggressive tri-lane and dodge it entirely, and that's why they went with that build. That's a potential as well. But ultimately, I don't think it works out. A lot of action will lift up, but it's just posturing at this point. The chaining of the stuns weren't there on either side, so there wasn't the potential to get a kill. Now the rune is controlled there by the silencer, so that bottle's still empty. Again, they need that upgrade on the courier to bottle crow and get that Brewmaster some help, as he is now having to go all the way back to base. Ideally, you just don't want to have that happen. You want to have the courier let him stay out there. But we're going to focus now, we're going to focus mostly on this tri-lane versus tri-lane that has rotated in out of deleted. If we keep an eye on that last hit, it is deleted getting the upper hand both in mid and in the top lane. So it's up to this tri-lane from Hold Me Closer Venomancer to really make a difference and get them some sort of win in this game. Because you want to win 2 out of 3 lanes pretty much, because it's really hard to win 3. But you really, really don't want to lose 3. And that's a risk here, because right now the other 2 lanes are not going very well for her. Hold Me Closer Venomancer. Not disastrously, we have zeros on the board, so no First Bloods coming out or feeding lots of kills to a carry or anything. But in terms of farming, they are getting a bit behind. But so far, really passive in this 3v3 situation. With this ward here, with the wards up from both sides, there isn't really any way to surprise. So it comes down pretty much entirely to positioning and both sides playing it relatively safe. Though the Magnus at this point is getting a decent amount of farm. So Hrathgar catching up now. And Sven playing much more passively. It's really tough walking into this lineup. Multiple stuns on both sides. But here's where the support Warlock is kind of a problem. Again, he doesn't really have much to offer in this tri-lane situation. You have Fatal Bonds, which helps a little. You have a heal out of that Shadow Ward, which helps a little. But you have no lockdown, no burst. The chain stuns there, very close to going down, is the Rubik, but not quite enough to finish him off, though Sven fully eating that dual breath. A lift up from the Rubik, but again, nobody able to go down, though that will cost quite a lot of regen on the dire side. Of course, if you're just eating shockwaves to the face repeatedly, that Shadow Ward becomes much more valuable, though I'm not sure that's the way you really want your tri-lane to be going. Gonna check in up here on this top side. The lane pulled back for the gyrocopter, is doubling up. the Darkseer in farm, so it's just not really going well. And again, as we have seen on deleted side, Mr. Chinese guy pulling ahead in the farm. He's been the snowballing hero and has been the story in a lot of, if not all, of Deleted's games. Another fissure, not really accomplishing much. That's kind of expensive for an Earthshaker to be thrown out. Not the biggest mana pool, and that is a high cost for him at 125 mana. Strength hero supports can be very effective, but you have to be much more careful with that mana, which is exactly the same problem that you have to consider on Sven, as he has that Storm Hammer, but he can only use one before needing to regen some mana. I feel as though Hold Me Closer Venomancer really needs to try and get something done here in that tri-lane, but we do have a dive out of Chinese guy. The surge away may not be enough, so that becomes all for naught. Forces the Darkseer back. He's just going to go ahead back onto base. The Brewmaster trying to chase, but he's not really going to catch up. The movement speed way too much on the Gyrocopter, especially with the phase boots up. Courier it out onto the Silencer. 2 Null Talismans and a Void Stone. An interesting build going on from him. I'm not the biggest fan of the double Wraith Band, double Null Talisman, that kind of thing. I feel like 1 is normally the cap. But we do have the last word out on the Brewmaster. He's disarmed, but I don't think he really feels like fighting right now, so that's not the biggest difference. We do have something going down here in the tri-lane versus tri-lane. A lot of damage going out on the lead side. The Ice Path misses completely, but now Warlock in a lot of trouble. The dual breath down finally, and I missed first blood somewhere else. I'll have to re-look at that. Okay, so we had a trade 3 for 1, Hold Me Closer Venomancer. Who was the first blood? Trying to follow everyone dying as the Warlock was down to 2 HP before ticking down just barely. Warlock got Magnus for that first blood. The Brewmaster closing in. This is an incredibly awkward spot. He does have enough for the Rocket Barrage, but doesn't use it, and goes down. It's 4-1 for Hold Me Closer Venomancer, and they really needed this to happen. So this is a big help in their lanes. And we now take a look. A little early for Graphs to tell a story, but we see a big dive back, evening up in XP and just about in gold as well. So that was huge out of Hold Me Closer Venomancer. Now they have to carry that momentum forward and make sure they don't keep running into situations where they really need to have those big 4-1 wins just to break even. We have the Brewmaster looking to accomplish something, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. It will be 2-on-2, so there actually is potential to turn this around for the Radiant side, but we also have a move up towards top, so we'll try and keep an eye on both of them if I can pull that off. In comes the Brewmaster. There's the clap and split. There's the stun out on Magnus. The lift and tornado, double stun preventing that, but they just let the Magnus go. They're going to focus on that Silencer. Will this be enough? Silencer's just running away. Brewmaster takes a pause, but there's the Storm Hammer to finish him off. Up on top now, the Darkseer throws down the wall. He's 1v3 in this. The call down, and there's no way out for the Darkseer. So he did what he could, but it was not enough. Gyro goes down a little low, but not really able to accomplish anything. There's a couple port-ins. There's the lift, and the Gyrocopter does go down with that last right click from the Rubik. Action-packed here after a little bit of a slow first few minutes. The rotation comes around out of Hold Me Closer Venomancer, and that's what they really needed to see. This Warlock only at level 4, though, not able to throw up an ult just yet. Let's check in on Magnus. Let's see, he is just about there. He just needs a creep or two, and then he'll be ready to reverse polarity. Warlock swinging around. Not sure exactly where he's headed. Is devolved into a 1v2 here on the bottom lane. Here in this bottom lane between Magnus and Brewmaster. Which is kind of entertaining to me, since usually you'll see those two mid. And now they're facing off in a safe lane. There's a call down on the Sven. Caught out of position entirely. Rubik. Oh, he should not have gone back in there. He's in a bit of danger. Looks like he's going to be able to get out. No dive. There's a silence coming out. I'm not quite sure what that was meant for. Yeah, I maybe a bit of miscommunication or a bit of panic. I'm not quite sure what the intention was. I'm going to try and close it down. Oh, that wall. That was a mistake. Stopping to throw down that wall sealed the Darkseer's fate. But again, Gyro, low health. Looks like he's going to just barely get away. Silencer now just going to barely get away. 21 health on the Gyro, 80 health on the Silencer. 6-6 call down. Look out, Sven. Oh, he just barely survives, but not able to finish off the Jakiro. Now the Rubik gonna go in. Focuses on the Earthshaker though, and not the Jakiro. Jakiro down to 29 health. Last right click takes him down. Now the Earthshaker running away. Gyro back in the action. There's the rocket barrage. And now there's a missile chasing this Warlock. Regular boots versus phase boots on Gyro. But now we poured in out of the Darkseer. Able to finish off the Warlock. Going to be chasing again. Gotta be careful when you're chasing a Gyro though. Warlock does go down. I didn't see what that was. Maybe he got a flat cannon off to finish him. And that's what 6995 says as well. Gotta watch out for that 1000 range. Magnus set up in mid, but he's in a bit of trouble. A skewer forward. The lift and split before the reverse polarity is able to go off. The shockwave goes down. Stolen skewer. This is being turned around by Hold Me Closer Venomancer. I'm not sure if that was the best idea. The Magnus gets thrown up. Looks like they should be able to get the kill, but they have to be careful. Skewer could have been back up, immediately goes down. The Rubik goes down as well. Now we're going to be pursuing the Warlock. Here comes the rotation in out of the Darkseer. A couple buybacks coming out. Ice Path going down on the Dire side. There's the skewer in reverse polarity, followed by the dual breath, and they both go down. A bunch of trades, and now there's a disconnect out of Sven. And we will have a pause. Back and forth, constant rotations, buybacks, port-ins, reverse polarities. Stuns all around, and Rubik on top of it. And we end up 12-10 and trying to keep track of who's ahead. Let's take a look at net worth while we're paused. It is the Gyro and the Silencer up on top, almost doubling up anybody else on the map. The Brewmaster, the only one anywhere close, and he only has regular boots in a bottle. He does have enough to finish up his mana boots. Sometimes you'll see the Brewmaster go directly for Blink Dagger. I'd say that's what he's probably doing, considering that he's saving up more than 1,000 gold, but considering how much action has been going on, he may have also just got that, or hasn't had time to pick up those mana boots. Personally, I'm not a fan of going direct Blink without mana boots. I feel the mana pool as well as that regen is just too important. But sometimes that's a preference. That's a preference thing. Depends on how you like to play them. So we'll have to see if he ends up going for anything soon, or if he's going to continue to save up for that 2150 in gold. So now we have 4 headed up top for Hold Me Closer Venomancer, while only 2 out of Radiant, so they do have to be careful, but they are backing off. Gyro's just going to pick up a few free creeps here as we go into a bit of a slowdown after constant non-stop action for the last 5 to 8 minutes. A lot of rotation. Take a look at the graph. It is headed back in the way of the Radiant side. So Deleted still holding their advantage, but Hold Me Closer Venomancer looking very solid in this game after maybe a bit of a slow start. With a bit of difficulty in laning, the rotation has really helped them out. Oh, a little late to the party there. Rubik finishes off the gyro with that bit of burst. Bit too confident there, staying up alone. And now the Brewmaster caught by an ice path. Looks like that will be enough. The dual breast slowing him down to make sure there's no way of getting out. And the rotation comes back. 1-for-1 trade, but I think they have to be happy taking down that gyrocopter. But I think the I think the quiet mammoth building is this silencer. He's been keeping up with the gyrocopter in farm. I mean, the 4 deaths not helping out the gyrocopter, though he is still on top of that net worth. Actually, silencer now just barely passing him. I'm not sure we felt the impact of silencer just yet, really, other than that initial laning phase where it's doing relatively well, actually very well against that Brewmaster. But in terms of these fights, he's just been kind of there for a few right clicks and a last word. The global silence hasn't been timed for a big fight or turnaround, so I think he could end up being a huge difference maker in upcoming fights. A little bit of posturing, no commitment yet from either side. The global silence on silencer is a bit tricky to get off.
Illusion.
Personally, I'd consider it much more of a counter-initiation spell, but in the situation, as I was mentioning during the draft, what I'd like to see is the Magnus getting off a reverse polarity followed immediately by that silence so that they can't respond to that initiation. And with the reverse polarity down, also can't escape. The problem with trying to initiate, oh, hold on, there's the golem after the fizzer, the skewer in reverse polarity on 4, the shockwave, and that macro pyre finishes him off. Triple kill out of the Jakiro. Better cancel that. No, he doesn't. Now Sven going to be in trouble. This could be a complete team wipe, and it is 0 for 5. And now Deleted going to take a huge lead. They'll get the tower as well. And that could be just the beginning of the end. It's certainly very early, but trading an entire team there, even with the golem, not going to work. That 4-man reverse polarity. And just throwing down the ults. Oh, and we didn't even need the Echo Slam. I did think I saw it. I thought I might have missed it in the chaos, but does not go down, and so they still have that. And it looks like I have frozen, unfortunately. So we're just going to pause here. My stream is still going, but my game has frozen, unfortunately.